The park was quiet that morning, except for the rustling leaves and the distant laughter of children. Sunlight broke through the clouds, spilling warmth across the benches and walking trails. It was the kind of morning that made people slow down, breathe, and feel grateful, but not everyone felt that way. On the far end of Brookside Park, a man in a dark hoodie sat on a bench, feeding breadcrumbs to a group of pigeons. His name was Daniel Price, calm, polite, and soft-spoken. To anyone passing by, he looked like any ordinary man enjoying a quiet morning. What they didn't know was that Daniel wasn't just anyone. He was the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the youngest in history, a man who had spent his life serving his country, keeping his identity low to understand people without fear or title getting in the way. But that peace shattered in seconds. A police cruiser pulled up near the bench. The tires crunched over the gravel, and out stepped Officer Mike Reynolds, a man known for his short temper and sharper tongue. He'd received a vague call about a suspicious man in the park. He didn't see Daniel. He saw a stereotype. "Hey!" the officer barked, walking toward him. "What are you doing here?" Daniel looked up, surprised. "Just feeding the birds, officer," Mike sneered. "Feeding the birds? In a hoodie? You got ID on you?" Daniel blinked. "Is there a problem?" The officer's tone grew colder. "Yeah, there is. People like you hanging around scaring the joggers. Stand up. Hands where I can see 'em." Mothers walking by pulled their kids closer. A jogger slowed down, watching. Daniel slowly stood, his calm eyes meeting Mike's anger. "Officer," he said quietly, "I'm not breaking any laws." "Don't get smart with me," Mike snapped. "You think you can mouth off because you saw something on TV? You fit a description." Daniel took a deep breath. He'd faced far worse in life. Gunfire, political storms, corruption scandals. But somehow this moment stung differently. He was being humiliated in public for existing. The officer grabbed Daniel's wrist, forcing him to the side of the bench. "You resisting?" he growled. "I'm not resisting," Daniel said, voice firm but respectful. "But you're making a mistake," Mike scoffed. "Oh yeah? You think I don't know my job?" Before Daniel could respond, a woman nearby, an elderly lady who often walked her dog at that same time every day, recognized him. She frowned, walking closer. "Officer, I think you should stop," she said cautiously. Mike shot her a glare. "Ma'am, stay back." "I'm handling this." She didn't move. "Do you even know who you're talking to?" Mike ignored her. He reached for his radio. But before he could speak into it, two black SUVs rolled into the park entrance. They stopped near the cruiser, doors opening almost in unison. Men in suits stepped out, earpieces glinting in the sunlight. The officer froze. "What the?" One of them approached quickly. "Director Price, are you all right, sir?" The park went silent. The mothers, the joggers, even the pigeons seemed to stop. Officer Mike's face drained of color. "Director Price?" he whispered. Daniel adjusted his sleeve calmly. "I told you, officer. You were making a mistake." The agent turned to the stunned cop. "You just detained the director of the FBI." The words hit like a thunderclap. Mike's mouth fell open. "Sir, I didn't know." Daniel looked at him steadily, not with anger, but with something heavier, disappointment. "That's the problem, officer," he said quietly. "You didn't want to know. You saw what you wanted to see?" Mike stammered. I was just following procedure." "Were you?" Daniel asked. "Because procedure doesn't begin with humiliation. It begins with respect." People in the park stared, whispering. The same jogger who had watched before now looked ashamed for not speaking up. The old woman folded her arms, shaking her head. Daniel took a deep breath and turned to his agents. "Stand down. He's not a threat." The officer couldn't meet his eyes. "Sir, please." "I'm sorry. I didn't mean—" "I know," Daniel said softly. "But meaning well doesn't erase what you did. Maybe next time you'll see a person before you see a profile." He turned and began to walk away, leaving the officer standing frozen beside his cruiser. The agents followed him quietly. The story spread faster than wildfire. By afternoon, social media was flooded with footage from witnesses. News headlines read, "Cop harasses man in park. Turns out he's the FBI director." The police department released a statement. The chief personally apologized. Officer Reynolds was suspended pending review and sent to mandatory bias and empathy training. But the real consequence came from inside. The shame of realizing he had treated another human being as less than human. A week later, Officer Reynolds requested a meeting with Director Price. When he entered the office, he looked smaller than before, humbled. "Sir, I came to apologize," he said. "You didn't deserve that." "No one does." "I was wrong." Daniel looked up from his desk. "You've got a family, officer?" "Yes, sir. 2 boys." "Then teach them what you didn't learn that day," Daniel said. "Teach them to look at people with their hearts, not their fears." Reynolds nodded, tears in his eyes. "I will, sir." Daniel stood, offering his hand. "We all make mistakes. What matters is what we do next." When the officer left, Daniel looked out the window over Washington, D.C., watching people go about their day, different faces, different colors, all human, he whispered to himself. The real power isn't in the badge. It's in how we treat each other. Because in the end, respect isn't earned through titles, uniforms, or fear. It's earned through understanding. And sometimes, it takes the most unexpected moment to remind the world that true authority begins with humility. Subscribe for more real-life inspired emotional stories that touch hearts and open minds. If this story moved you, like, comment, and share to spread kindness.